Welcome back to my channel, Digital Wellness. At Digital Wellness, which is part of DigiNext Health Solutions, we believe in a holistic, integrated approach to health and wellness for transforming both the physical and the mental quotient. While we look at the lifestyle transformations, one of the key things we focus on is enhancing physical fitness through yoga and exercises. Most of us have heard of an enhanced physical wellness experience going to the gym. Here, we are focusing on a holistic integrated approach, and so it is equally important to look at emotional, social, and mental well-being for completeness. While Team Digital Wellness was researching on this topic, we came across the Lynchpin Life Academy and Speed Club, and I was personally curious to understand what is that they are focused on. And they are focused on this wonderful concept called the emotional gym at the Speed Club. I was amazed by this concept called the emotional gym, and I just caught on a little synopsis on what it means. Lynchpin Life Academy and Speed Club focus on building a strong emotional quotient for youngsters, especially the teenagers, in their formative years, helping them in their journey of transformation for a better individual tomorrow. Let us now hear the success story of Lynchpin Life Academy and Speed Club, which is India's first emotional gym, from its co-founders, Sridhar Palya, who is a natural coach at heart, and he also is a certified psychologist from the Yale University. His true calling is in inspiring young adults in their formative years to achieve their best potential, and it is this passion which motivated him to start this venture, giving up his 25 years of corporate IT job. And in this journey, his other co-founder, Sonali Datta, who shares similar interest, is bubbling with creative energy all the time. Interestingly, she's a millennial, just passed out of college, and it is going to be interesting to hear this beautiful story of two people from different generations with a common thought and a goal coming together for starting this emotional gym. Let's hear their secret sauce. Welcome to my channel, Digital Wellness Sridhar. I'm really glad that I'm talking to you today. And also, I really loved your unique concept, speed gym, right? And I was curious to know what this is all about. So the first thing that came to my mind was, what is your motivation behind starting this initiative, Sridhar?
Wonderful. So let me start with how actually this we got inspired, Sujata. So I come from a technology background, about 25 years, more than 25 years in the corporate world, and during this corporate experience, a lot of times we obviously mentor and train youngsters, typically the freshers that's going to come up. And fortunately, I've been part of also a group. We call it as a Abhiyan group, where we go on campus and recruit youngsters, fresh graduates. So that gave me a variety of experience of freshers. I had an opportunity to interview several hundreds of people across my 25 years career. That is one area. And second is the freshers that come up across, and about every 6 months we kind of train them and mentor them. They are the other space where we could see the difference between what is being taught in the educational institutions versus what the corporate wants. Third is my own personal journey, again, and also the various statistics in the industry. We saw that there is a huge gap in terms of employability. If you look at it, that's one thing. And the second is, if you look at even the experienced people, the work-life balance, there's a lot of influence of personal life on the professional or the career. Okay. Now, when you look at all of these aspects, we felt that there is something missing in our education system. And when we looked at it, it all related to or pointed us to lack of a strong emotional foundation, the emotional skills. And we believe that, why is it not happening? When we looked at the academics, we see that most of these, academic schools spend over 1,000 to 1,500 hours in a year only for academics, whereas hardly, if any, about 50 hours in a year for life skills, which is supposed to be, the core for the emotional foundation. And there's a huge gap, and that's reflecting in a whole lot of things in terms of emotional well-being, the temperament, and the job satisfaction, the stress levels, all of these things. So that's actually triggered us to say that, hey, there is the space. How do we contribute to this particular space? And in my personal journey, which perhaps in my conversation I can enlighten how I call myself, I had three versions of me. I can say Sridhar version 1, 2, and 3 in my career. And I realized that there is so much that we are missing, and I took a plunge saying that we should do something in this space. So I in 2017 we moved out. I moved out of the corporate world, and then started an organization called Evangelist Private Limited. It's because I was an automation evangelist, so I wanted to call that, as an education evangelist. So started that organization. My whole spirit was, can we nurture youngsters something that they're really missing in their goal for a holistic development. Okay, and thus started the journey. And about a couple of ventures down, I started an organization called Lynchpin Life Academy, and the flagship institution is called Speed Club. And Speed stands for School for Personal Excellence through Emotional Development.
Wow.
So that's the spirit, and personal journey versus the wide experience that I see from the youngsters, that there was a need for this space, the nurturing the emotional. See, EQ is one part of it. I felt there is, beyond the regular EQ that we speak in the industry, there is a lot of things that is actually missing, in this emotional foundation. And that starts with belief system, self-awareness, and a whole host of the EQ aspects. And thus started our journey to start the Speed Club, and which we believe that is India's first emotional gym.
Right. You know, you so beautifully said that Your own personal journey was your biggest motivation to start the Lynchpin Life Academy. Uh, you also mentioned something about emotional. So, I'm also curious to know why are you calling this as an emotional gym? So, let me ask you just related to that. And you also mentioned that youngsters. So, what is the typical age group that you address at your academy, Sridhar?
So from the age perspective, see, obviously learning is ongoing process. But if you look at it, the learning curve typically is at the peak when they are the infant, and then the curve start decreasing over a period of time. Largely, the learning and development happens before they are into adulthood until they are teens, and of course into the well into the 20s, but it tapers down unless they make a, conscious effort to do that. So what we are looking at is this formative years, which is teens, and teens is a very, very crucial age. It's a cusp of life, if you may. Okay, and I'll talk to you about what are the challenges. So we primarily look at these three ages, that is teens, and before and after, that is tweens, that is preteens, and the 20s. But our focus is on the founding years of teens, adolescents, so to speak.
Right. That's where I see at your backdrop every teen coach. So, I'm just curious to know, by the way, it's really lovely and very catchy. So, I just wanted to understand, what was the intent and, why you felt like that, Sridhar.
Oh, this is so important, and that's the complete spirit, Sujata. What I'll do is I'll take a step back in terms of why speed, the name speed, because the speed actually, we believe that it's an acronym for School for Personal Excellence through Emotional Development. Now, often we see that success is a word that is commonly used and aspired by a lot of parents for their children. But success is a very relative term.
Yeah.
Success can mean very different to different individuals.
Right.
But one thing for sure is common is, can I be the best version of myself, whichever field I take it? And that we call it as a personal excellence. Can I be the best version of myself? This is not a comparative one.
Mhm.
We look at all of these things, whether it is academics, the child or the individual is in any field, to be able to achieve their own goals, they need a strong emotional foundation. And that's the reason the names, we try and achieve personal excellence. We help them towards their personal excellence through their emotional development. And it all starts with their emotional development. We take anything, let us say, any cognitive skills. Now, if you look at it, the cognitive skills is something in the head, right? The languages, the academics, the skills part of it. Everything is cognitive. But we believe that, imagine this is a bulb, okay, and there is a socket that is plugged from your heart, okay, and this is the emotions where it is. Now, most often we use one word which encompasses all the aspects of emotional foundation, which is attitude. Now, Stanford research says that knowledge and skill forms only about 12% of the entire learning and development, whereas 88% is about the attitude. Now, attitude here means a lot of things in terms of willingness to learn, the zeal, the curiosity, okay, the adaptability, things like that, the resilience, all of those things put together an attitude. Imagine any field, be it a sports person, be it music, be it art, be it a politician, a businessman, without a strong emotional foundation, the lack of grit, lack of determination, lack of focus, lack of clarity, they will not succeed. So our spirit that every cognitive skill starts with a strong emotional foundation. So personal excellence essentially starts with emotional development, and that's the spirit behind saying that speed club. And now the word club, okay, is a suffix to it. Again, here is to get the mindset of youngsters. Often in the school, the moment it's a school, it is an academic setup, the classroom, there's a lot of pressure, so on and so forth. We were looking at, how do we create a space that is more informal and much more engaging, thereby we will allow for an active learning, right? So school, what happens, it's more of a passive learning. That is, it's being pushed. Here we want to create a space that's very invigorating, very engaging, very inviting for them, okay, and nurturing for them. So we call it as a club. So the word club gives them a picture saying that, oh, this is not something that I'm going to be forced upon. It is my willingness and that leisure and all of those things. So speed club is such a thing. Now, the actual thing, the punchline that we call it as an emotional gym that you were asking, right? So I mean, there's a lot of thought in that, and you can draw parallels with the physical gym. And we all know gym. We go to a gym. If you look at it, one way is that we go to keep ourselves healthy. So why do we keep ourselves healthy? To preempt the chances or a need to have a medical intervention or go to the hospital, right? So we do, it's a more of a proactive approach. Same thing. What we do is we will try and help them, preempt or have a better preempt the need for them to go for a counselor, psychologist, or speed perspective, right? We call it as a club. Now, the reason is that it needs to be much more informal, much more engaging, voluntary. These are the words that actually resonate. Okay. Now, gym, I was telling the gym, right? Gym is, you can draw parallels with the physical gym. Now, you go to a gym to actually keep your health proactively, you keep a good health for yourself to preempt the need for going to a doctor or a psychologist or a therapist, right? Similarly, you come to an emotional gym to have your emotional hygiene or emotional foundation very strong. Now, there are some more parallels you can look at it. When you go to a gym, okay, different people go for different reasons. Some say that, okay, I want to build on muscles. Somebody wants to lose weight. Somebody want to keep themselves fit. Somebody wants to recover from some injury, so on and so forth, right? Now, precisely, every teenager, while overall they are all similar, individually they are unique as their fingerprints, and their needs and their challenges, developmental needs, everything is unique. So one size doesn't actually fit all when it comes to emotional foundation, unlike the academics. So when they come to a gym, there is a combination of the general development nurtured, whereas an individual focused approach for them. Now, this is again, you can draw a parallel. The third also you can see, yeah, one child person A can get fit in 3 to 6 months. You would want to do it. Somebody will take much more time to achieve their goals. Same thing, even in emotional gym. Let's say a child or a teenager is suffering from self-esteem issue. Okay, he or she wants to develop a confidence for themselves. So they have a plan, maybe 1 month, 2 months, 6 months, so on and so forth. So if you look at it, we have a lot of commonality when it comes to physical gym versus emotional gym. Unfortunately, this is something that cannot happen in a school setup. And that's the reason we want to create this space where they can come with their own set of goals, developmental needs. Now, for them, that one or two important problems could be everything in life, right? The fear, at least let's say bullying. Now the problem is academic, poor academic performance, but the root cause could be very different from that. So at gym, we coaches, we would like to address them one-on-one, identify their own developmental needs, talk to them, and jointly find a path for their overcoming their obstacles or achieve their goals. So that's the largely the spirit behind the emotional gym. And even from the space perspective, it is unlike any classroom. You can see some visuals where it's very vibrant, it's very informal. We have beanbags thrown here and there. There's a lot of games and activities. You learn without even knowing how you're going to, learn what you're going to learn. So these are all imbibed, okay, because they absorb like the way they absorb every information out there. That's the true spirit behind Speed Club, which we believe that it is India's first emotional gym.
Right. It's so wonderful and, to even hear. And when you were telling me, so passionately, especially about the emotional gym, I was like thinking, I hope somebody had thought about this, say, 40 years back. I, as a teenager, probably would have been fortunate enough to kind of leverage something like that. It is so beautiful concept. One of the things you, of course, preempted my question in terms of, does school not provide this kind of facility? And also, how do you work? Do you work along with the schools, or do individual teenagers slash students or parents, do they approach you for a program like this?
Absolutely. So Sujati, earlier when you mentioned that, I wish I had this particular gym in our when we grew up. I think that is one of the core spirit also. We all survived. There is sometimes people challenge saying that how did we grow up? How did we survive? So everybody survives. Everybody having 2 square of meals will survive at the end of the day. But did we really live to our full potential? If you ask me, I lived my teenager with a lot of bruises, which is completely could have been avoided, and I could have had contributed much more to the society than what I'm kind of contributing right now. So it is up to us to really have this need or not. So I would definitely wish that there's something that should have been there then. Fortunately, technology and all of these things are also helping, and we are advancing. I think it's more relevant now with the kind of opportunity that we have. Okay, so coming to your question in terms of how do we approach? Yeah, there are that's the biggest challenge in terms of it's not really available in school for various reasons. Schools sometimes they have the structurally they don't allow they don't permit to suffer sorry, they don't allow for us to have such a sessions, right? Second is that they don't have the talent and skill, right? You need to have teachers who are actually coaches.
Mhm.
Third is that lack of willpower or whatever it is. Okay, there's so much of in a rat race to finish up their academics that this is a last priority. You'll be surprised, Sujata. If you see currently after the pandemic and everybody went online, there are schools which conduct, dance, crafts, and other things online. Okay, but they do not have time for emotional well-being. No life skills classes. Correct. So priority wise, that is the challenge by most schools. Having said that, I don't say every school, because there are some very finite set of countable number of schools which take this very seriously and doing. And we in fact have done in the past couple of years across the schools, we did this program. But as I said, because of the challenge of various other things, what we did is we have created outside this center where we call it an emotional gym, and we reach out to parents through various medium. We used to even offline and online we used to do. Now we are completely online. We use the social media and other means where we kind of invite. Today the current challenge is, okay, reaching them. Not many parents know that this is available. Okay, because in the past for 4 to 6 months that we have worked, we've seen that 9 out of 10 parents who spoke to us felt that this is extremely relevant to them, and they've converted, they joined us. Okay, but we have to reach to them. That's the challenge. Not many parents know about this, and our current challenge is to reach out to. We're doing all it takes to spread this word to them. So we run programs separately. It's more as an after school activity, you may say.
Right. Right. So, this is interesting because you also mentioned about the you taking care of the emotional aspects. I was curious to know why did you only choose teens, for nurturing these skills? Why do you think that's the only? Because if you really ask me, especially during this pandemic, we, of course, for the last 1 year we continue to see that, and hopefully we thought we will see an end, but looks like there's a second wave. Mental well-being has become a center topic across age groups, right? It doesn't matter. Even if you really ask me, from a child who's 1 year old to even people who are above 60 and 70, mental wellness has become a topic of discussion. Everybody is undergoing some kind or some state of depression. But that apart, why did you choose? Why have you chosen only a particular age group for nurturing these skills, Sridhar?
If you look at it, actually, mental health, I think even World Health Organization says that it is it's not the lack of infirmity of the, only when there is a no problem that your mental health is well. But also, if you look at it, what it defines is, when the individual realizes his or own potential, it's a state of well-being, right? And he or she should be able to cope up with the normal stresses of life, okay, and they should be able to work productively and fruitfully, and also be able to contribute to the society. That's the largely the definition if you look at it. So mental health is not just that I don't have a stress or anxiety, then my health is good, but also being able to contribute to the society and overall well-being, right? To be able to overcome the smaller problems that we otherwise face. That is the thing, which means it is not just that I don't have disease, but I should be healthy, okay, and be able to contribute to others. Now, that is one part of it. Second question that you asked, why teens? Okay, and I'm very, very passionate about this, Sujata. The reason is I see a lot of children suffering. Okay, because see, adolescence and it's also known as a teenage. It's a crucial foundation laying phase, if you ask me. And there are the basic building blocks like beliefs, the values, their morals, and their life goals. In fact, sometimes what I want to become, all of those things are actually their aspirations. Are all getting carved out at this particular time. In fact, if you look at it, they are in a stage neither they are in adults nor they are children anymore. They get a sense of freedom, a sense of what they call power, unending power, if you look at it. Yet they're not completely equipped with information that they can make a wise decision. And adolescence is also biggest challenge because a lot of physical, emotional, cognitive, psychosocial changes are happening. Okay, and also it's a most beautiful phase. Unfortunately, it's a most vulnerable age also, and there'll be a lot of mood swings, there's anger, irritation in some shape and form. They keep coming, not necessarily all the time, but these are all the things that is happening, that is internally, that is happening. Now if you look at socially, okay, there is always this pressure of being accepted by friends. They want to be cool, they want to be accepted with the clan. Okay, you never know, they'll be in some shape and form coping with certain bullying, right? And sometimes they're being rejected by their peer groups and even some friends, not necessarily a relationship, but even from the friends perspective, socially they're going through all of those things. Who am I, right? How do I fit into that? Will others listen to me? Where am I? That social fitment is there. Okay, you see that another angle. Internally hormonal changes, physical psychological changes are happening. Outside social is happening. On the emotional front, they're looking at what is my identity, what is my sexuality, right? What is my they're finding out relationships. They're actually establishing belief. Even if you look at the political views, or whether it's environment views, whether it is relationship views, they are forming beliefs. And where are they forming from? They are like sponge. They're absorbing everything that is thrown into them, and we are absolutely oblivious of where they are, in which hygienic or unhygienic environment they are put in. And they are actually taking all the signals, stimulus that is coming from the external world. Okay, and that is the reason they are in the crossroads. And more important, despite all of these things that are happening, they have to make decisions on their career. They have been under pressure, and huge academic pressure is going on. And that is the reason they are extremely vulnerable, and they'll survive, but they'll come out with a lot of bruises and a lot of wasted energy reinventing the wheel of teenage. Okay, so that is the reason why I want to actually focus on that. And besides, if you look at preteens before the teenage, if you look at a toddler or children before the teenage, what happens is largely they're influenced by parents or the teachers. Okay, they're in the listening mode a lot of time. But what happens suddenly when they get into teens and when the hormones kicks in, they start reducing the influence, listening to parents or the teachers. By and large, I'm saying, we have exceptions though, but by and large, they started reducing this thing. They get very much influenced by friends and the media. These are the two biggest factors, I would say. So we don't have any control on what kind of friends they are getting it, what are the conversations that they're having, what are the media content they're consuming, which means they are these information that are shaping their life choices Okay, typically we say I want to become a doctor, engineer, or lawyer. All of these things is what they see from external stimulus that they're getting it. They're absorbing it. Now we do not have that kind of control, and that's the difference between teenage. And what happens is at this juncture, when they have a question, they do not have place to go, because parents, they so far they've been listening, and they have some sort of a rebellious nature when it comes to parents, and parents cannot play all that role. Okay, they are nurturers, and they have a responsibility of taking care in terms of financial health, all of those things, but they can also inspire to some extent, but that's it. There is a limit where they cannot. And who should be doing? Teachers. And teachers do not have the bandwidth, neither have they are trained on that aspect. So what do? They don't have anybody. They go to their friends who are equally uninformed, equally struggling. This is exactly the reason they need, okay, a person who is qualified, okay, who can help in terms of giving one-to-one personal attention, and who can play multiple roles, okay, and guide the teenager, cross that bridge of towards adulthood. And that is the spirit, or that's the genesis of every teen needs a coach. And today, if you look at it, we have CEOs and CXOs having coaches. And while they're supposed to be leading multi-million organizations, they're very well self-regulated. Teenage are so volatile. Everything is new. Novelty is everywhere. The information, the people they see, the media they can, content they consume. So they're very vulnerable, and I feel that very well deserve to have a coach. And for the lack of a better word, I'm using the word coach. But we at Speed Club, we call speed coaches, can be teachers, trainers, guide, mentor, a friend, philosopher, guide, and even an outsourced parent. Okay, we want to play the multiple roles, and that's why we say that every team needs a coach, because they come with some set of problems, some set of needs.
Right. So, how, this is very interesting because I think you rightly said, especially about teens and their need of this, because, very rightly said, it's that age, where they are uh, turning into an adult. And like I said, they also do have those hormonal changes and bodily changes, which kind of acts on their mind. And of course, their whole path to behavior changes, and that's of course a very formative year, especially in terms of how you are going to be made as an individual. So I think you beautifully said it. So how do you design your programs then, because you said that these are like out of school, and how do you typically design your programs when somebody wants to enroll into a program of this nature, Sridhar?
So our programs are what we call it as age appropriate. So largely between age group 13 to 19, we have two levels, if you may, the early and adolescence and the later adolescence. All of them today, if you look at it, they're blank slates when it comes to emotional foundation, right? So in the interest of the parents getting a grip around the program, what we did is we have a 3-month program which is on a weekends. We spaced it out in such a way that they don't have a day-to-day. It's not something that they learn. They have to nurture. They have to adopt these skills. So what we do is every week on a weekend, we tend to give them one step at a time. Okay, the essential aspects of emotional foundation we lay. Now, after that 4 months program, they are in a position to understand, oh, these are the aspects that I need to be aware of it. These are the aspects that I need to really look into it. It just opens their eyes and, be able to see that what they were actually missing otherwise. Okay. Plus, we will also help them, guide in terms of adopting certain habits. Okay, being able to give a blueprint of problem solving. For instance, if I'm able to solve their top 2 problems, okay, handhold them and be able to get them to achieve that, they get a new sense of confidence in terms of, oh, now I can, if I'm able to solve my top 2 problems, and I can apply this formula to all other problems. So they get into self-paced learning after that. So our design, if you look at it, the emotional, we call it as a future ready. Are you ready for the future? Okay, that's a foundation program. After that, it is more on a focused learning. It could be somebody would say, hey, I want to prepare for the state cricket board. I want to be a state player or a IPL player, and they want to come, and their needs are very different from somebody who wants to attempt for an IIT or NEET exam. Whereas somebody else says, all I need is to get a strong emotional foundation. I'm socially very reclusive. I need to develop my self-esteem. So needs will be very different. So we will work on them. And we have a monthly club membership as we progress. So we start with this emotional foundation. And there, what we do is three important aspects that are what we talk about is emotional foundation is a very broad subject. Okay, we seed in all these thoughts. Okay, it's like, the fertile mind, we kind of put all of those things, help them, look things at very differently. But before that, what happens is everybody will, by and large, most children can come up with some kind of a limitations. Now, limitation can be variety. It could be laziness. Okay, it could be anger. It could be self-esteem. Okay, it could be distraction that they have. So we call it as like a adversity quotient. We call it a setback busters. We look at what kind of a problem. It could be negativity. So we help them identify their own challenges, tide that over, and then lay an emotional foundation, and then talk about the what you call 21st century skills. So these three important aspects, we package it in this particular program and help them nurture. And the design, the way it is delivered is very, very different. It's unlike the classroom, less of a content, a lot more engaging. So it could be through storytelling, it could be through discussion. We use for a discussion, we use Socratic method, we use six thinking hats, or we take projects. Okay, we have something called as, we don't have homeworks, but we have challenges that they take. Okay, we call it as a resistance challenges, temptation challenges. We have habit formation. Okay, and the projects like vision boarding to pitch. All of these things we do that. So a lot of these things are hands-on, and they get into the breakout rooms and then do group activities. Okay, so all of these things help them nurture. And we have something called as vadil. At every moment we call it as a vadil. Vadil is a term that we use, saying that what did I learn. So even somebody introduces about him or her, everybody pitches in saying that, what did I learn? Now, the entire culture of what did I learn, they even apply in their regular life. Whenever they even look at a movie, they say, what did I learn? When I go for a conference, they'll say, what did I learn? So that philosophy, things like those things, we imbibe in their this thing. Okay, am I a part of a problem or a part of a solution? So the moment there is a problem, there is an anchor for them to say that, hey, I'm part of a solution. I'm not going to complain. Am I adaptable? Am I resourceful? These are all the anchors we build in through storytelling, the group activity, problem solving forums, a variety of that. So that is based on a topic. Let's say if I'm looking at 21st century skills, they do a presentation of pitch, the business idea. In that, the biggest challenge is to identify what are all the skills they learned. Collaboration skills, interpersonal skills, creative thinking, critical thinking, right? All of those things they will put together. So we nurture the core thing of learnability rather than teaching them. Right, so the design wise, it is based on these one, and we meet every week. We dedicate about 2 hours time for this. Right now we are doing everything online on the Zoom.
No, since you said this is like very personalized program for individuals, how big is your organization, Sridhar?
Right. So right now, with the two founders, myself, Sonali, and I run this particular organization. But we have a network of people who have worked in this space. They are actually practicing counselors who also do coaching. Now, each one is excelled in their own space. Okay, they do come at regular intervals based on the topic, and we do that. Apart from that, we have guest speakers, to nurture that. See, one of the things is that as a part of our self-awareness, to know what I really need. Okay, even when you have to make a career decisions, choosing the stream and other things, we need to give them the exposure, and so we kind of get that. Okay, so our team, if you look at it internally, we have, although we are full-time, only 2 of us, but we have a network of about 20 to 22 people who keep participating at regular intervals based on the workshop that we get.
Right. So that means it's a combination of group participation and counseling of one-on-one. So
Yeah,
you
correct.
I wanted to mention that actually. So this weekend we meet that, right? The most important aspect of this is the individual coaching. So everybody, we have a one-on-one with them. So that pretty much goes 2 hours the first time, and then every week they don't. There's no limitation in what they would want to. Some people will reach out to us more than once a week, or sometimes more than 3-4 times they meet if there is a problem setting. So we help them tide over that, and they continue to take that. So that one-on-one coaching, we have a separate template for each individual. You may perhaps look at it the way somebody is counseling, right? You have a case sheet for them. So we do have a case sheet. Now somebody is looking for academic, just like goal setting, planning, they're not able to achieve their academic goals. We will help them based on their lifestyle, based on their temperament, based on their priority. And that calendar, that plan will never work with for anybody else, because the environment, the circumstance is very unique for that individual. So that is the core of it. Now, whatever they have learned in this group coaching, now group coaching has a very good benefit, because there is a peer learning, there is a sense of contribution, there is a sense of responsibility and respect that we can give, and social skills are developed in that environment. Okay, and then when they come as an independent one, the hybrid model is what really works for them. Sometimes we cannot actually express their problem there, and that's why the individual coaching does help. And we're not doing exclusively individual coaching, then again we will disconnect. Doing one-on-one coaching alone, they're not able to see the benefit, and sometimes we miss out on the benefits that group coaching can give them. So for us, what works well is that during these 4 months, we are having individual one-on-one. After that, what we are going to also have is that sufficient touch points with the parents. Sometimes parents are cooperative, sometimes they say it's okay, we don't want, we find it. So we respect that, but increasingly we feel that the role of the parents are equally important. And we initially we thought at least 50% of the entire workshop should be for the parents and for this thing, because whatever they learn or develop here, it gets unlearned there, right? They unlearn once they go back home. So also they don't understand the signals these guys are doing. For example, suddenly these guys, we have a gratitude exercise. So when they go back, it's a little awkward moment to go and tell parents saying that, Mama, I'm very thankful to you for all that you have given, and things like that. We make them feel comfortable being uncomfortable. We say that it is going to be uncomfortable, and once they pass that and they start expressing, they realize that relationship was significantly benefited. Right? So things like that, then the parents also should contribute, saying that I really appreciate, maybe, it really didn't go good. See, these are the things that requires a handshake. Sometimes we say that, okay, they need a private time, let them have a space. So they should also understand. And a lot of time, some parents have a challenge in terms of, they don't realize that their actions are actually being taught to them. Right? We all know that, many people know that, but they don't realize in the day-to-day activities that, my behavior has a direct impact on my child. Okay, so we need a touch point with the parents also. We've been successful to a large extent. The parents have a conversation. Some parents volunteer and keep talking to us, and that helps us a dialogue very much. And the results are, very evident and long lasting. But these are the typical touch points. A combination of group coaching and individual coaching and parent touch points is what we actually bring to the table.
You know, one last question, and this is something which is like personally from my side, Sridhar. I'm curious to know, like, you're talking about coaching teenagers, and you really have to get on to, thinking hats like them, right? So how do you, if I may say that, you are addressing a generation, the next generation of teenagers. So how do you kind of get into their thinking hats? How do you do that?
Wonderful. Actually, in fact, these assessments, personality assessments like DISC and what is that, MBTI, okay, both have reflected that I should be a coach. Okay? And in fact, one of the reasons that when I quit, because even in my corporate world, we had these assessments being done a lot of times. I didn't realize that I need to be a coach, but throughout my coaching, I started realizing over a period of time, when I get a good feedback from my mentees, mentored so many people, and I started enjoying that entire this thing. And then, as I said, when I moved, I was able to, Sujata, be able to connect with the teens much, much, much better than any adults. Okay, so it's the sweet spot for me. And the other best part is that my partner, okay, my business partner Sonali, co-founder, who is actually a generation away. So this year we celebrate. Oh yeah, we have not passed the New Year, so
3 days to go.
3 days to go. 2020, I turned 50 and she turned 25.
Wow, that's nice.
Absolutely. So we came with a beautiful combination of generations. So I learned she's my guru when it comes to digital presence. Okay, she has made me things that I would never have thought done. Right? You know what? There was a trend where you hold a hoarding, right, board and take a picture on the streets. Okay, and she used to put on Instagram. I did that. Whatever she said, I did that. Okay, and from the Instagram, I moved out to Instagram. Okay, I was thinking, what is this? You know, it's a showing off and things. If I have to be with the children, with that generation, I better be like that.
Absolutely,
Right?
I agree.
I said I'm not 50. I just turned 15, so I live and be that. I sometimes make an attempt to look at the movies that they look at it, the serials. To some extent, I am successful, but yeah, long way to go. But I do have a wonderful company who is just out of her teens, and I can relate to. But by heart, I am a lot more. I think I enjoy. See, the moment I'm enjoying, the energy is shown with the
Right.
children. I'm at the best of my world. Okay, I forget everything. So I think it's not draining. It's very pleasurable, and then they can see, and they're very contributing to my thing. So that's how I approach. It's
Yeah.
always a learning, definitely.
Yeah, so I think now I know your secret mantra on how you're able to kind of get into the shoes of a teenager, because that's a very important aspect to really understand what they want, and that's how you're able to kind of derive and design the emotional quotient.
Yeah, in fact, the schools that I was kind of doing also, I didn't have a sleepover. The kids came to my house. We played. I take them out. Okay, not for the business reason or anything. I just thrive, enjoy with them. So there is also a barbecue party that is planned. We are also going for a flight. Okay, we'll be doing that eventually in a month's time. There is
Wow.
a event happening in Jakur. Okay, I'm taking a gang of about 10-15 kids. They all willing to come, and I'm going to take them. So they connect very well, and that's one of the important factor. Even before I teach them, if I don't have a connect, okay, then it's gone. If I don't get a connect, it's gone. So my first thing is I say that don't even start a lesson or anything if you don't have a connect. You spend 90% of your time just to get the connect, and 10 minutes is okay enough to give your lessons. Okay,
Right.
that's very important, and I've been successful. A lot of things that I do, and they also surprise me. In fact, they cut a cake for my opening of the gym. Okay, they
Wow.
surprised me with the cake and everything with their own pocket money. Okay, they got
Wow.
everything. So it's very heartening to see these events.
Right. So, if I may, I will make the other question as my last but one. I'll make one real last question.
No, 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 go ahead. Absolutely, any number of this thing, I'll be more than happy.
Yeah, I know. I can see the passion in you when you're talking this. This gives me a other different dimension. So, are you the favorite of the teachers or no? Because if all the teenagers, right, are running, and you're like the Pied Piper who's like trying to alert them to your to rather the beautiful world. You're acting on their emotional part and making making it very beautiful. So what if they say, what, I don't want to study, but I want to probably just spend a lot more time in the gym. Do you have some cases like that?
No, definitely. So, I mean, there are multiple cases, Sujata. In fact, some of the people want to pursue a passion as a coach like me, and I had to tell them that it is different and things like that. But that's too a little young. But some schools, what happens? The teachers, I don't have much interaction with them because I finish my class and there's go back, and I get certain time slots. There are very little interaction. But some schools, in fact, what happened is one of the schools, they invited me for one specific topic in terms of adolescence, only to connect with the boys. The program was so hit that and I've used one terminology which I strongly believe called "so what." Okay,
Mm.
I have a tattoo also here,
Wow.
it says so what. I believe on those things because a lot of times we are strained with comparison, okay, both internally and externally, and that drains a lot of energy for them. So when I gave this mantra to them, they really loved it so much. And I happened to go for a different reason to that school, and all the children, they did not remember my name so well. Some of them, they said, so what sir, so what sir, and they all came gathering to me. And that's a reward that I would cherish more than any Oscars, I would speak. And in fact, the next year they said, the principal called and said, it is not just the students, but teachers are saying, we are seeing children calling. And from then onwards, I had done consecutively every year, they've been calling me because the students wanted, and the students from 6th grade to 12th grade were there. The boys were able to connect with me very well, because with the 8th grader, I know how to connect with the 8th grader. With the 12th grader, I can do that. So I think perhaps I've been gifted with that, and I enjoy that. But yeah, the examples are there. They would really want to have me over. It is just a matter of time that I have to reach them, and I hope that I can make a difference to a lot of these. My co-founder, actually, we share a wonderful relationship in many different forms. So she's my co-founder. We call actually ourselves as a twin cousins. One of the interesting things that is we bring a very different diversity. Okay, both, I mean, from the gender wise, from the region wise, from the generation wise. She's from a millennial, from our education background, from the experience. We bring a diverse, variety to our combination, and we actually met up in a very, very unique incident, coincident. I'm sure Sonali is going to share it with you how we actually met. And she has got interesting insights, and she brings her perspective from a different generation. She's very close to teenagers and 20s. So I would like to introduce Sonali Datta, my co-founder. Sonali, please join us.
Yes, thank you very much for that wonderful introduction.
Sonali, welcome to my channel, Digital Wellness. It is absolutely fabulous to have you talking to us. For the last 50 minutes, I heard Sridhar speak so passionately about your journey at LinkedIn Life Academy, and he beautifully. I keep seeing the passion in his eyes whenever he spoke about this beautiful journey. And when I was actually reading through some posts that you and Sridhar had shared on the social media, I saw this beautiful story where you coincidentally met Sridhar at one of the friends office, and that's when your whole idea of speedclub.in sparked in. So I'm really curious to hear that story, Sonali.
Thank you so much. Definitely, I think this is one of those stories that you read in the books or you watch in movies, and you think to yourself, it's very filmy. It doesn't happen. Doesn't sound like, it's very bookish or very storyish. They're trying to sell us something which doesn't happen in real life. And I used to be a person who would kind of, question things a little bit like that. But then ever since that incident happened, I think my belief in a lot of things unknown has grown a lot. So I met him very, very surprisingly. What happened was I was back in Kolkata and I was doing work in this sphere. I was getting called for seminars and workshops for in engineering colleges, and I was putting out content on YouTube, writing blogs. So I was getting noticed by my fellow um, people of the same age group, college goers, high school students, my friends as well, because they were like, oh yeah, this is great and this is very interesting, thank you for sharing XYZ. But then I understood that I am still in my comfort zone, because when I started my journey, a primary motive for me to start was to push myself out of my boundaries that were set due to my personality. I'm an introvert, and talking to people has been tormenting for me growing up. I very lack of social skills, confidence skills was nothing. And then I grew into it by just pushing myself more and more, challenging myself more and more. And I thought, okay, My city is again a comfort zone that I'm living in. Can I step outside the city? Can I go to these, major cities of India, Mumbai and Bangalore, see the fast-paced life, and can I still find my grounding over there? Because I know the youngsters over there live a different lifestyle, and if I can go there and find myself over there, that means I've elevated somewhat over there, right? So I had my friends moving on from my city to Mumbai and Bangalore because they were doing jobs and they were doing their PG programs. So I thought, okay, I have two very good friends, one in Mumbai and one in Bangalore. Both of them very recently moved. I was doing freelancing. I didn't have a proper job. So I had saved up money. And 2019, that was my project. That 1 month trip alone was my project for myself that I wanted to do. So I saved up. I told my family from before only that this is what I'm going to do. So if you have any questions, you do it from now only. Don't come and restrict me later on. And I said, I don't need anything, just support. That's all. My family is very supportive. They're like, okay, you do what you want to do. They didn't understand it. Nobody did. They were like, what is going to happen? I said, I don't know, but something will. I know something. I don't know what. What I'll bring back. Let's see. So I saved up and I told my friends I'm going to live with you guys. They were like, yeah, most welcome. I went to Mumbai. I had set up some meetings using my social media contacts and just people talking to people and saying, I'm going to Mumbai. I'm going to Bangalore. Is there somebody I should meet? And they would give me contacts. And that's how I would contact them, email them, call them and say, sir, I'm so and so, got your contact. Can we have a quick meeting? And some people would say no, most people would say yes. So in Mumbai, I went. I had quite a few plans, but then it was in August. It was heavily raining, and it was flooding. So most of my plans got kind of cancelled. I had a couple of meetups, met some people. Didn't happen really well. And then I remember flying from Mumbai to Bangalore and thinking to myself, "My God, 15 days of my journey is kind of gone. The next 15 days, I have to make the most out of it." And I told myself, Bangalore is going to be a game changer for me. I remember I had come to the city a year prior, and somehow I felt some connect with the city. I told myself, it's going to be a game changer. It's going to be a game changer. And I came here, I settled with a friend of mine. I was moving around, meeting people, doing the usual thing. And then I had a meeting with somebody very, very renowned, Dr. Hari Krishna Maram. He has immense networking skills, and for me it was a no-brainer, a non-negotiable deal to get hold of him. I had to meet him. So I called him up. He was out of the country. He said, Sonali, I'm traveling, meet me on Friday. I remember Friday also. And I called him around Wednesday. I said, sir, I'll be there. Sir, I'll be there. Friday morning, I called him up. Sir, are you there? We have a meeting. Yes, Sonali, come. Where are you staying? I said, in Jayanagar only. His office is over there. I walked. I said, let me not take any cab. Let me walk. I had a good amount of time planned in hand. Let me not be late, and full-fledgedly I went without knowing what's going to happen. I walked into his office, I sat over there, and he was like, yes, Sonali, tell me, I know you've come from a reference from Kolkata, XYZ, how do you know that person? Just, normal networking things. And we were talking, he was telling me about his work, I was telling him about my work. And then I saw a gentleman walk in into the office, and he kept his bag, and came and sat beside me. And then sir introduced me to him. So now my primary motive was to speak to him, Dr. Maram, not this new guy who came. So I was obviously paying attention to the main guy, right? And somehow he got a call. When he got a call, he kind of got curious that what am I doing? And because I was speaking a little bit, and he told me, so tell me a little bit about yourself. Something around those lines exactly. I don't remember. And we started talking. And I remember pulling my chair. It was front faced. I remember pulling my chair a little bit towards him, so it became like a triangle. So I was speaking to both of them, and we got talking and talking. And he was carrying, the brochures he had created for the programs of the teens. He had done a lot of work, and I was very amazed to see that something that I wanted to do, somebody else had thought through, had done a groundwork, and had prepared, meticulous content in a very structured, presentable manner. So I was like, this is great. And immediately I threw out the idea. He said, I'm gonna, take up a place, build an office, this and that, an academy, a club. I said, great. So if you need a trainer, you let me know. That's all I said. Okay, he said, yeah, surely. I said, I'm open to traveling. I'll look for a place over here. My friends are here. I'll make something do, and I'm open to traveling back and forth. There was no idea of moving in at that point of time. And from then on, our conversations became more and more, and we started working on this Guinness Book of World Record event. It was also on that very day. I remember we had a meeting till 11:30 in the night, right? It was so, sometimes you just feel the sync with people. And over the next 1 week, after a week, I was supposed to go for Kolkata. Over the next 1 week, we spent a lot of time together working on the project, understanding each other. He was going through the work I had done. I was obviously evaluating the kind of person he is, because I had worked with people double my age before, and I know after a point what happens is they kind of overpower you with their experience. You know, they'll hire you for your, or they partner up with you for your energy, enthusiasm, creativity, but then shut that off and tell you exactly what to do. And I had done jobs and I hated that, so I wanted to know that, okay, just make me. Obviously evaluation was being done, and finally he put out that idea, you know what, I'm not looking for a trainer or anything. Would you want to be a co-founder? And I was like, I don't know. I was literally taken aback. Can you imagine a 24-year-old guy, a girl coming and meeting a random bunch of people, doing some projects and getting offered for starting a company, not a job, not a project, but a full-fledged company in a new city. I have never traveled to Bangalore before. My family doesn't even know. Now they're coming. Okay. So it was very new to me. And in the beginning, I didn't know. It was a feeling of overwhelm, but he had done his groundwork. He had done a SWOT analysis of us. He had sent it over to me. He had done, shown me the path ahead. And I think I was pretty much convinced. I told him, I have to go and speak to my parents. Can I come in January? And he said, okay, fine. And I remember the last, I think, hitting the ball out of the ground was when I was leaving. He offered to drop me to the airport. Who does that? Nobody does that, especially in a city like Bangalore. My God, the traffic. It was pre-corona times. It was a peak hours. Okay, morning flight, 6:30. He came and picked me up exactly at the punctual time, and we spoke and spoke. And I went back home. I was thoroughly convinced. I said, "Oh, this is I have to start this, and I'm going to go in January." January became December, December became November, and within a month, September end, I moved in. And yes, that's how we started.
Wow. It's uh, I can literally feel the sparkle in your entire talk, Sonali. Yeah, sometimes these connections happen unknown. Um, so, you know, uh, in fact, Sridhar mentioned just before you came in about, you know, literally you being from the millennial age, right? He, of course, I don't want to mention the gen he comes from. It's a known secret, right? So, you know, firstly, while you said you were, because you both had the same goal, right? And at least from a objective standpoint, it somehow matched. But how did you kind of, it has been over 1.5 years since you've started this journey, right? So how has it been through this entire journey of thinking, right? Because here's a millennial thinking, here's a Gen X, Gen Y thinking, and then you're addressing teenagers, right? In fact, I had a similar question asking Sridhar, how is he able to get into the shoes of a teenager? Because you have to literally be in their shoes if you really have to make sense. It's very complex, right? So first of all, you two co-founders from a different generation, and then getting into the shoes of a teen. How has the journey been for the last 1.5 years, Sonali?
That's a great question, and it's a good question for me to also kind of self-evaluate instantly. I have to tell you that see, I believe in connections. I think that matters to me. That has mattered to me from the very beginning. Ever since I've understood what understanding and meeting and connecting with people is. And I think we connected from the very first time we ever spoke. In the first 2 to 5 minutes, I remember feeling that, oh, he's interesting. Let me know more about him, kind of thing. And over the course of 1.5 years, I think it has been no short of magical. Like I said, if this was a story somebody was narrating to me, I would have been like, come on, cut me some slack. I'm not that stupid. But then, since I've lived this, and I know that this is no short of a blessing, stumbling upon him, and not just him, his entire family has accepted me with open arms, as if I was that lost kid in some mela, and like, oh, that is our kid. you know Pick the girl up, and that is our kid. It's like some sort of a rearrangement was done in the beautiful complete puzzle they had, and they just put me inside, and I mixed very well with it, right? It has been no short of overwhelming and happiness, and I think he has brought about the best in me. I had some, I think he's a coach. He's very much a coach naturally from his heart, and he has seen, okay, this is what you can do, and he has tried to expand, and just made me do things that I didn't think I would be able to do. For example, for me, I was always at the back end of doing the creative stuff. He pushed. He said, no, this is the company. You need to know everything that goes about running the company. What if tomorrow I'm not there? And these are conversations which bring about a lot of discomfort in me. What do you mean you're not there? I don't like all these kind of things. But he's very realistic. He's very logical. He's very practical. Yet he doesn't let go of his nature towards understanding that I'm talking to a real human being with real emotions, and you have to take it slow with that person and take it at their pace. So I think in terms of my self development, it has been a humongo experience. If not anything, tomorrow I take away of knowing that last year or 1.5 years ago I was a completely different person, and now I'm a completely transformed person, and people can see, my family can see I've become a little more responsible. I won't say too much, but a little more responsible. My friends can see a change in me. There's a spark, there's a certain level of confidence in me, definitely. That's one part of it. Now, coming to the second point, where we come from different age groups, I think that's honestly, that's just a number on the paper, on our birth certificates. We gel so much. We have so much fun. I cannot begin to tell you the amount of fun just the two of us can have. We have gone on 1 day road trips, have had like a ball of a time. And we can spend like hours and hours together without getting bored. Even if we are sitting across the room, we would crack some or the other joke and laugh for hours and hours. So I think there's some sort of connect that has always been there. We just needed to find each other. It's sounding very very I don't know, bookish, but that is how it is. You know. And now coming to the teens again. Uh, Growing up when I was a teenager, I remember exactly how I felt. And I remember, desperately searching for a mentor and a coach to kind of guide me through. And there was nobody. So knowing that we are filling that space, because that need has not gone. That need is very much there, and now more so because of COVID and so many things happening, social media becoming so high, that need has become wider and wider, and it has now been highlighted. So knowing that we are working in that sphere where we're actually nurturing teens is a great experience. And coming from him, I think both of us, we carry different aspects of how we deal with teenagers. He comes from the professional standpoint where he has mentored so many people coming from very great backgrounds, qualified people, yet not having the right social and emotional skills, and he had to fire them because they didn't have the work ethic. They didn't know what their strengths and weaknesses were. They just knew skills on the paper, technical skills. What about the other skills that need you to survive in the market? That's from the professional standpoint. Personally, I've seen that, even though I've been a person who's talented, skilled, and stuff, I've never been able to put it on the table because of the lack of knowledge and the know how, because there was nobody to push me, nobody to coach me. So I think we bring a very nice blend. We also come from two different genders, so we can address two different genders. We've had kind of what do you call, sessions for only girls and only boys. So I think somehow our combination is so unique and so beautiful and beautifully blended that we cover all the aspects. I frankly couldn't have asked for a better business partner, better best friend. I've actually found a best friend coming over here.
Right. It's very well said, and it's a very rare. I think this is what is uniqueness with Linchpin Life Academy, and I've heard from Sridhar about what he thinks. I really like your tagline. Every teen needs a coach. I want to hear from you, Sonali. What do you think about this tagline? And, by the way, I want to hear your perspective. Why did you even frame this tagline?
Oh, well, I think I'm kind of surprised nobody else did it till now. I mean, we've all been concentrating on all the CEOs of the world and the business people, entrepreneurs of the world. What happened to the people who are actually the energy and the heart of the nation, the youth? What happened to them? You can't expect them to grow and nurture themselves on their own. A college certification and a parent's support and financial support can do only so much, and we've seen that, right? So, as we were sitting and we were wondering, uh, can we formulate something as a mission statement, as a vision statement, in one line or in one statement? We can make them understand what we are trying to uh, sell, or what is the kind of work we're trying to do. And we sat and we brainstormed. And I think honestly, the every time I share this, people come and tell me, not every teen, we also need a coach. I've had my friends in their 20s saying, I also need a coach. I've had friends in their 30s tell me, man, I also need a coach. Why are you only talking about teens? So the actual line is everybody needs a coach, but we start from the teenagers, right? Because that's where you can make a long lasting change in the easiest possible way, right? Because the teens, they're open to listening. Now, today, if I sit with a teenager, very few, I've actually not had any so far, who have sat arrogantly across the table and have given me a look. I was like, why should I listen to you? But if I sit across a table with even a person who is around mid 25s, they'll give me a look saying, who are you? Why are you here? Why are you wasting my time? The moment you have that attitude, that mindset, it's closed. So I have to put double the effort to break the barrier and then go through. Whereas with the teen, they are aware of what it is going through. It's happening real time. The personalities are being built real time. So, if at that point of time I can go, I can nudge, I can help them through that journey, they're going to become much more aware adults. We have teenagers calling us in bizarre hours. We have done crazy things for them. And I'm not boasting or I'm not complaining. It's just the kind of work ethic we bring, because we really feel that the teens are where we have our sweet and soft spot. But not taking away the fact that I think all of us needs a coach. There are times when you know that you're not working in your full potential, and that's where the coach comes in and tells you what is wrong. Sit, come, let's sit with us, let's evaluate a different way of doing it. You do not need a parent shouting at you. You don't need an overachieving friend telling you, oh man, you're not able to do it. Or you don't need a friend who's not able to do it and saying, leave it now, nothing happens. Leave it now, don't study. Right? So you need somebody who's a mixture of all these elements and will get the work done. So that is why every team needs a coach.
You know, uh, while I thought I'll just ask you, two questions and then maybe get out. Sonali, your talk is so interesting. Firstly, the passion that I saw in Sridhar and followed by yours. So I can't stop asking just last two questions, if you may allow me to ask so. Uh, you know, uh, First of all, I really want to, I'm really curious to understand your viewpoint. Look, as a parent, when I would interact with a millennial son of mine, right? So there was always a difference of opinion, Definitely, my thought process vis-a-vis his thought process would always be different. I'm really curious. How do you and Sridhar get along on this topic? Especially because there is always, first of all, there is a generation gap between the two of you, right? Like I just quoted, me and my son can never agree on a topic at all, right? So on anything, forget a topic on anything. So how do you manage? Because you are working towards a common goal. So how are you actually able to manage that aspect, Sonali?
Great question. So, while you were telling me, I was getting thoughts, and I was trying to frame that into sentences. See, I'll tell you, this difference of opinion is not just of distant generation, it has been there from generations together. There's
Right.
always been a difference of opinion between the kids and the parents.
Right.
Now, coming to think of that, I think something which hasn't changed or has been rather pushed forward from one generation to the other are the parents thinking that they can be parents throughout their life. I think after a point of time, the parents have to shift a little bit of gears and have to become friends. But what happens is that I still have friends whose parents are constantly scolding them, constantly telling them what to do, and kind of ordering them. You know, after a point of time, the kids, when they grow up, they do not like to be ordered. They like to be understood. They like to be told. And we all love the fact that the decision is on to us. you know I think if I tell you to do something and if I leave it up to you, you will do it. But if I force you or give you no way out and then you have to do it, you might do it, but you will hold a very bad impression of me. You will hate me in the from the core of your heart, being like, my god, this girl is making me do something. Maybe you would have done it anyway, right? But the way I made you do it didn't go down well with you. So I've seen a very normal misconception, or I would say a lack of partnership in the parent and the kid, whether they don't become partners. See, it is a fact, right? Parents are have lived more years than the kids. They have more wisdom, they have more experience, they know the world better. That's all given. But that doesn't mean that the kid doesn't get to do any value add. In the current generation, when the technology is so evolved, the kid will definitely know some aspects of life more than the parents, right? And when it comes to their life, they will definitely know more because they're living their life. So I think there's a lack of practice of having an open dialogue, something that we have. I think coming from two different generations, we have not stepped on over each other's toes. I know that he comes from a very hardcore corporate background where he has followed processes, rules, you know, way of doing work. And I have practically never worked in a corporate environment. So I don't know. I've had a free flow. So when I see that there's a need of a process and he's bringing it to the table, that is his USP. I let him do it. When he says that I am more of a very, in time person, you put me on the stage, tell me to talk about something for 30 minutes, I'll be able to do it. Whereas he need prior preparation. So we come from very different temperaments and we
Yeah.
have understood that and we respect that. So he lets me do my thing where he sees that, okay, we need some crazy ideas, creative things. Sonali, you tell me what you want to do and I'm going to let you do your thing. There have been multiple times where I've messed up, but he has not told me anything, because I think something that he has inculcated in our partnership is like, when we take a decision, doesn't matter, you take it or I take it, it's a team decision. Once a decision has been taken, we both take ownership of it. Whether it is a good or a bad, whether we win or lose, we take ownership of it. We don't do a blame game. Something that happens in the parent-kid interaction. If the decision goes wrong, mind you, if my mom makes me do something, I will wish that it goes wrong. So I can tell her, Mom, see what you have done. I told you this is not to be done. And then if it happens vice versa, the parent also doesn't leave the kid. So they keep on carrying that bad blood. It's always a battle between each other. It's me versus you, whereas it has never been me versus you. We've had some conflicts, of course. That's how business and partnerships works. But I think at the end of the day, we're stuck to the core value thinking this is a team. And this team is not to be fighting inside the house. The battle is outside. So yeah, I think that's how.
So,
It's beautiful.
Sujata, the thing is that I know that she's has to talk, but and I'm trying to resist the temptation to speak. But let me just add a couple of points, if you want to. Okay. So one of the things that she said is that the equation that we share is, very, very unique. We never step over each other, and we are very willing to learn from each other. So when she's open to process and I'm open for creativity, and we love the journey. Okay? We've made a lot of mistakes, in terms of how do we do the promotion, where do we invest money, what kind of collaboration we have to make, all of those things. We move on because once we take a decision, we never look back for the sake of blaming and things like that. That's a very unique blend that we bring, and that's working very well for us. The other is that even this kind of a parent-child relationship, right? So I tend to bring that. There are nice, healthy debates that we kind of get it. Okay, she says, we see this way, and we say, why do they see that way? See, typically, every parent want to do best for them. It is only the approach, right? The approach that is difficult. besides, what happens is parents have a different kind of a relationship with the children, right? Over and over, every day they keep seeing them. And I've noticed that I can't train my child myself. I could be a coach, but I can never do that. I need a help from external listening. So there is a bond, there is a relationship, there are nurturers, and the children look in a different way when it comes to parenting. That, oh, they tell, they have a, same kind of a dialogue. They kind of look at me. They are very biased or whatever it is. So whatever said and done, that there is a limit to what a parent can do, and that's where exactly they have to step out and get into a coach's role, right? So especially when it comes to softer aspects like relationship, sexuality, and all of those things where we talk, these are the key things which may not be related to academics and performance, but they are very much dependent, interrelated, and that's why every team needs a coach is also something that we bring in. Right?
Yeah, really, this is my last question, and I see a cockpit, at your backdrop, right? Any one of you, either Sridhar or Sonali, what is the intent behind having that as your backdrop?
I think he had this much before I came. He was waiting for his co-pilot. That's when I joined. Would you like to tell her why?
Yeah, see, from the childhood, I had this fancy for cockpit this thing. Yeah, it actually symbolizes a lot in terms of speed, the excitement, the soaring, the big picture, right? The bird's eye view. There are a lot of what you call lot of inspiration or viewpoints that we can take. Okay. Having said that, literally, as she said, I was a lone pilot here. I definitely needed a co-pilot. I can take a wing and vice versa. She does complete piloting. But to be honest, she is a mentor for me, and I'm completely as a student when it comes to digital marketing, social media presence. There are times I may disagree, but I will pause.
Yeah.
Okay? She's taking a decision, she takes, and today all of our media and other things, she's the one who is in the driver's seat. So if you look at the cockpit, I think we have also known ourselves what we excel in each of our seats, and our dashboard has only those controls primarily, and we operate so very well in synchronous, like a three-legged race, if you may, in our childhood that used to play, or like a pilot and co-pilot, they work. We are pilots, actually, two pilots. And a lot of times, Sujata, we like to call ourselves as a co-founders or founders, but not as a founder and co-founder somehow. And all of the visuals, everything, I would want to go together, because this is my leadership skills that I always wanted to tell that, there is no bigger, elder, and lower, and things like that. We complement each other. And then she also feels to do contribute complete, right? It's equally her baby, right? This company. So we are co-pilots, and that's the kind of inspiration that we hope to soar in 2021.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sridhar and Sonali. This was a beautiful, conversation I've had, and I want to thank you from bottom of my heart. I really thoroughly enjoyed this conversation for two reasons. One, I think you are, operating in a very, 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 very unique world. I may say that, right? And it is so meaningful and most needed. I said this at the beginning too to Sridhar that, I wish there was somebody like this when I was a teen. And, really good luck to you both for, driving an initiative of a unique initiative of this kind. I know you have the right backdrop where you'll definitely roar, not even soar, right? You will definitely roar high. And good luck to you. And we at DigiNext Health want to thank you, and we are looking for some exciting times together. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
I thoroughly enjoyed listening to this wonderful story of the emotional gym at the Lynchpin Life Academy and Speed Club from the passionate Sridhar and Sonali. They beautifully told the story on how emotional wellness is extremely important for youngsters, especially for teenagers in their formative years, to mold them and prepare them for a better tomorrow in this fast paced world. The world has been reeling under the mental and emotional health crisis for a very long time. Over 264 million people worldwide have been suffering from depression. A WHO-led study showed that depression and anxiety could alone cost the global economy a whopping $1 trillion due to the loss of productivity. While this has been going for long, the mental and emotional health has caught the world's attention more so during this pandemic. All these issues indicate one thing: there is a need to address both the mental and the emotional health crisis. We at DigiNext Health focus on promoting holistic wellness as an approach, and stay tuned for listening more stories around the emotional, mental, and behavioral well-being. Like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to keep yourself updated about the latest story. Thank you for watching Digital Wellness. Please leave your comments on what you thought about the story, and also, in case you want to hear something else about mental, emotional, or behavioral health, please leave a note and we will get back to you. Thank you very much.